welcome to our days. We're going to get started in just about 1 minute at 12:02.
Starting. Okay. Can you check the Facebook book?
Good afternoon. My name is Katie Leffel, and I am the director for the Oklahoma School Foundations Network, and I want to welcome you to our final Fall Forum Fridays. This series has been so much fun. Each week we've been able to bring you guests to share really great information for school foundations to take advantage of across the state. But this, our final presentation, is a really special one because we get to talk with the winners of this year's 2020 Oklahoma School Foundation Outstanding Program Awards. Outstanding Program Awards is something that we administer and do every year and put out nominations. Nominations for program awards can come from a community member, can come from a board member, an executive director of a foundation, really anyone who's familiar with the foundation and its work. It's a pretty simple process. We fill out your nomination. We have a panel of judges that take a look at them. And then generally we select between 1 and 3 winners each year. And winners of the Outstanding Program Award receive a really nice commemorative statue and also $1,000 to go towards the work of their school foundation. So we're very excited to have some of our Outstanding Program Award winners with us today. This year's winners are the Bruins on the Run Student Mentoring Program from the Bartlesville Public Schools Foundation, Picnic in the Park Community Feeding Program from the Weatherford Public Schools Foundation, and the Teacher Pipline Program from the Foundation for Oklahoma City Public Schools. So we're going to start with the Bruins on the Run Mentoring Program, and I have with us today from the Bartlesville Public Schools Foundation, Blair Ellis. Blair's the director for the Bartlesville Public Schools Foundation, and she's going to share with us a little bit about the Bruins on the Run Mentoring Program. Blair, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thanks, Katie. Can you hear me okay?
Got you great.
Okay, thanks. Great. Thank you, and thanks to OFV for this recognition. Both the foundation and our school district are just so proud of this program, and we're thrilled to share a little bit about it with all of you today. I was going to start by giving you just a brief overview of our foundation, just to give you some perspective, and then talk, of course, about Bruins on the Run, kind of our logistics, the startup needs that we had, and some of our objectives with the program, and then leave you with a couple of things that I've gained some appreciation for after starting a new program. But as I talk today, I just want everybody to remember that if you're considering starting a new program, ours was focused on running and mentoring, but that really didn't have to be the focus. That was what worked well for us. It was really more about just having an after-school activity, some way for teachers and students to interact outside of the classroom. So running was the vehicle that made sense for us, but it could be a number of other things that maybe worked better for another foundation. So the Public School Foundation in Bartlesville here, we were founded in 1985, so we're actually celebrating 35 years, which is the same as the Oklahoma Foundation for Excellence. Bartlesville serves 6,000 students. We have about 700 teachers and staff. 50% of our students are on free and reduced lunch. I am the only employee of the foundation. I'm the first full-time employee, and I'm in my 4th year. And then lastly, our programs typically focus on grants to teachers, although we have been in the past couple of years taking on a district prioritized initiative. So providing some seed money for elementary STEM expansion or supporting our new agriculture program. And then of course we have Bruins on the Run, which we again started 2 years ago, but it looks like a program that we're going to maintain just because it's been a really popular, successful one for the district. So Bruins on the Run, it's a no-cost after-school running and mentoring program for fifth graders that we offer across our district's elementary schools. And we started 2 years ago, piloting it at 2 schools. And then because it was so popular, the district and some other teachers and principals asked us to expand it to all 6 of our elementary schools. So we did that last year. And then of course, sadly, we're not operating it this fall due to the pandemic, but we're already looking forward to kind of getting it back up and going next fall. And Katie, you can go to the next slide.
Maybe. There we go. Sorry.
So just a little overview of some of our objectives. We really strive to improve physical and mental health of our students, increase their focus in the classroom by providing kind of a structured after-school outlet for them, improving their relationship with their teacher mentors, and then improving their relationships among the elementary school students because they were going to be going to a common middle school in the next year. We also wanted to improve their confidence and their ability to set and achieve goals. And so the program was open to all fifth graders, but we really targeted students who were in need of these sort of positive outcomes. So kids who were not already involved in soccer or swimming or gymnastics. And we kind of made that clear in the application process that we had a pretty high expectation for your attendance. And so if you were involved in other activities, you were not going to be able to meet those standards. So that was how we kind of targeted our students. Luckily, we haven't had to turn anybody away. But again, I think it's because we set those high expectations pretty clearly from the get-go. Just a few things that I've identified were really crucial for us when we started and in order to kind of hit the ground running, no pun intended, and be successful from the start was that we had, number one, a passionate idea. So one of our principals had this idea to start an after-school running program for his students at his site. That was kind of the beginnings of this. So we kind of had that in the hopper ready to go. And then our local community foundation announced a collaborative grant for $25,000 that any nonprofits could partner together and write a grant to provide some sort of a new service or expand on a service in our district. So having that funding opportunity really provided the seed money to start off the program. And then third, we had already a well-established running and mentoring program in our community. It wasn't affiliated with our schools and it served 7th grade and up, but they already had a really strong program that we were able to then partner with them and model our program after kind of what they had already started. And then we also sought out a lot of other partnerships in the community, whether it was the local food bank providing snacks and water on a regular basis, or the YMCA contracts with our district provide after school care. So we utilize that service too. But it really was a community effort. And then the fourth thing that was crucial for us starting this program was our district support. So we have an amazing superintendent. He's great about engaging the foundation. He's great about including me on his leadership team and in his strategic planning conversations so that I'm at the table kind of hearing these funding ideas, hearing the priorities that the district is working towards. And in those meetings is actually where I first heard the idea of this after school running program. So having that opportunity to kind of have those ideas in my mind was helpful when grant opportunities arose. He also kind of partnered with us and challenged his staff the same time we started Bruins on the Run in a wellness initiative. So he encouraged all of his staff to run an 8K, which was actually going to be the same 8K that we were going to finish our season running. And so when we got to that race day, we had not only all of our Bruins on the Run kids and teachers there, but we also had about 150 staff members that were there participating and cheering on our kids too. So again, it was that really big community effort that made a difference. Just a few logistics I'll talk through. And again, I'm available for questions. If anybody really wants to take on something like this, there's a lot more information to share. But just so you get an idea of how we operated the program, it was a 7-week session. We started it in the fall. We passed out applications the first week of school, sorted through those, and then we had 86 kids last year and 48 mentors. So we kept a really low teacher to student ratio. The first week we had some volunteer doctors volunteer their time to do sports physicals. We had a local shoe company come in and volunteer to do shoe fits and order discounted shoes for our kids. And then we got their t-shirts ready so that you can see from the pictures, they all kind of had the same uniform. They had the same t-shirt. They all had the same shoes. And it was really in an effort to kind of break down any sort of class barriers and really create a sense of solidarity for them. And for some of our kids, I mean, these are the best shoes they're going to ever have. They were really high quality running shoes. And you could tell they just took so much pride in taking care of them and participating in this program. They ran 3 days a week after school. 2 days they would run at their own school sites. And then on the Fridays, they would wear their Bruins on the Run shirt to school. And then we would bus them all to a central location, usually on our community path, to all run together so they could kind of get a feel for each other and interact that way. And then again, at the end of the 7 weeks, they would run in this Woolly Rock 8K, which is a very hilly 8K. It's very hard for even trained runners, but it was amazing to see these kids come from, I mean, not even having run a mile before, I mean, just running around their gym class gym and then finishing a 5-mile hilly race on a Saturday morning was pretty impressive. And we really focused on, we had a big celebration afterwards with food and trophies and recognition, and really focused on their effort and their attitudes and their team work as opposed to any sort of speed. I mean, nobody got any sort of accolades for their time. It was really all about just completing this challenge. Our role in it was, something I kind of debated. We of course obtained the funding for them, but we did, because it was a brand new program, start with the initial paperwork. We prepared all of that. We coordinated the transportation with the district buses on Friday after the Friday afternoon runs. We handled kind of all the program-wide communication to parents and then the marketing. And then what I did is we had teachers at every school site, all the elementary school sites, interested in leading the program. And so I appointed them kind of as program directors, and they were responsible for their own sites, their own students, and their own mentors, kind of setting the tone, providing the training plan that they wanted to do, and kind of making sure all their kids were accounted for on a regular basis. And then in terms of outcome, we used pre and post program surveys with our teacher mentors, our students, and then the students' parents to kind of track what kind of outcomes we were seeing. And we really did hit all of those benchmarks that we had achieved in those objectives, which was really great to hear. And then we had a lot of great anecdotal evidence of its support. I mean, the students at the end of their days would comment during their Bruins on the Run training sessions when they did highs and lows, that their highs were often that training session they were attending right there. Teachers would comment that they saw kids in the hall maybe misbehaving slightly, and when they mentioned that they might be jeopardizing their Bruins on the Run training for that day, they would kind of snap right back into shape. So they clearly valued the program, and we were pleased to see that. Katie, yep, you can go on to slide 3. This is my last slide. Just in terms of funding, I mentioned the startup funding was really that seed money from the Community Foundation. But then the second year, we had some of that money to carry over in addition to some local grants. We developed some community partnerships as awareness of the program grew, and then breaking it down for our donors in terms of what their money could buy. So if $50 buys a pair of shoes, $250 sponsors a student with their race registrations, their t-shirt, and their shoes. And then lastly, I just want to mention a couple of takeaways. Again, some things that I kind of gained some appreciation for after hosting a program like this. And that is first, having ideas ready to go. So when a funding opportunity does come along your way, you can kind of act on it quickly because you already have those ideas in the hopper. And a strong relationship with our district, again, really helped with that because I already knew what they were kind of looking to do. And then second, always being open to collaboration. So understanding what other youth-focused and education-focused organizations in your community are doing, maybe even taking the time to visit with some of those leaders, talk through your missions and their missions, how they might overlap, because we found a lot of really natural partnerships during those conversations that helped make this program a success. Because again, this really did start as a community effort and a collaboration, and that's why it was able to grow so quickly and be successful kind of right from the start.
Blair, I just love this program, and I'm so thankful that you could come share with us. And I guess the one thing that popped into my mind is I know that with COVID, you all have had to kind of put this on pause for now, but I'm sure you're anticipating a big increase in the number of students who want to participate, because I can imagine that a program like this is only going to grow as students see other students doing it and having such a fabulous time.
That's true. We've already been asked to expand it to 4th grade and on down, and we've kind of been pretty tight because, again, if you get too big, then you lose a lot of that mentoring component that's essential for the program to really succeed and make an impact.
Well, it's a fantastic program, and I'm so thankful that you were here to share it with us. To our participants, we're going to open things up for a little Q&A session at the very end. So Blair, thank you so much for sharing with us. And now I'd like to introduce, sorry guys, my laptop, I'm away from home and trying my best here today. I'd like to introduce Phillip Reed, and Phillip is associated with the Weatherford Public Schools Foundation and serves as the Weatherford Daily News publisher, and is here to share with us a little bit about their really cool program that they developed in response to the pandemic this summer to help feed their students. So Phillip, I'm going to toss it over to you and let you tell us a little bit about this awesome Picnic in the Park program.
Thank you, Katie. We're very excited about the honor and winning this award. That's very exciting for us. As you said, I'm a volunteer on the foundation, and this really started from, of course, the pandemic, where we had a really good meal program going for our students in the public schools. And when the pandemic hit, then classes were shut down. And we just didn't realize, those of us in the public didn't realize how many kids were actually getting a lot of their nutrition from the schools. And so that prompted us to come up with a concept to continue those meals, some for breakfast, some for lunch. So we started Picnic in the Park. And it became a real win-win situation. We have a centralized park in the middle of town. And it was within walking distance to most of the schools. So a lot of the students didn't have transportation with parents working. And so they could actually walk to the park. So every day, Monday through Friday, we would provide sack lunches for the kids. No questions asked who needed the lunches. It was just open to everybody. And the kids started coming in, and it really took off really quickly. I call it a win-win situation because, I was busy at the newspaper doing the things I do day to day, but it was really refreshing during COVID, when our minds were so wrapped around the complexities of it, to take an hour off and think of something other than ourselves. It was difficult time for newspapers and businesses and all aspects of the community. So to be able to take that hour off. So every day I took my lunch along with about 15 other volunteers. We went to the park. We had sack lunches set up. We worked with Benny Keith, who supplied most of the food and the drink. And we got the price down to $1.50 a day. So we were serving anywhere from 200 to 300 kids per day. And so it was really interesting how things work. We didn't actually have a funding. I thought, well, as a newspaper, let's just do this and see how it works and see if we can make it work and fund whatever we need to. But as things work, it's pretty miraculous, really, because I would be out in public and in some of the businesses, and I'd look at my watch and say, oh my gosh, it's time to go feed kids. And they look at me like, what are you doing, feeding kids? And then I remind them about the program, and they reach into their pocket and hand me wads of cash. And I was in one store, and literally a lady handed me whatever was in her handbag. Another guy reached into it, and it came up to exactly $300. So every day, that $300 amount just kept coming in and just paid for it. And it was amazing how that worked. I can't explain it, but it just did. So we had a lot of fun. So it was very rewarding for us. It was excellent therapy for me. I got a lot out of it, being able to talk to the kids, talk to the parents, talk to them about their concerns. It was compounded by the fact that Western Oklahoma is experiencing a huge downturn in the oil and gas industry, which a lot of our townspeople worked in that industry. So they found themselves just immediately out of jobs, and literally the stories that kept coming in were, kind of gut-wrenching in a way, because, I didn't realize the complexities of it. So mothers would come to us and say, you don't realize it, but this is, we didn't have food in the refrigerator. This is the food that will feed my kids. And she'd walk in with 3 little kids and, say, this is feeding our kids. We don't know where the next meal is coming from. And of course, I looked at them and they looked, perfectly healthy, beautiful children, beautiful family. And I'm going, how can this happen? How does this happen? Well, it does. And then I guess it does every day. So it's opened my eyes to a lot of things. So it was so rewarding in that way. And then, of course, to make it fun, we created a kind of a park picnic festival atmosphere. We brought in the eagle and bulldog mascots, the fire trucks. We brought in the little ice cream truck that goes around the neighborhoods and offered free ice cream and just a lot of things that would make it more of a fun atmosphere rather than just, trying to just feed kids. So the other thing that came out of it too is the Ministerial Alliance, of course, got involved. And so as the kids grabbed their lunch with their parents and sat around the park, the Ministerial Alliance and volunteers from the churches would come around and talk to the families and see if they had any other specific needs. Kind of served as a counseling time for them. And it was a beautiful atmosphere. I didn't know how this was going to go, but it turned out to be beautiful weather and a great atmosphere. We had football players from both the university and the high schools. I just had a ton of people involved, and it just was good for your heart. It was one of those kind of things. So we were very excited. But the good thing too is that it seems like when something like this starts, that more good things happen from it. So we went from that project, which we initially was just going to be a month, but as the pandemic kind of ramped up, then it extended on. So we just said, we're here as long as you need us, up until the day that the schools could start feeding kids again. So we actually went beyond the point, but we were just going to be there as long as we were needed. But then more things started happening. We realized the need for hunger and food in the community, and again, it was all a bit surprising for us that the average person doesn't understand it. Teachers definitely understand it. And it was interesting too, and I have to give a shout out, school foundations typically, as Blair said, benefit the teachers in what they're doing through the classrooms, the grants to teachers. But as we use the newspaper to kind of help promote what we're doing and inviting people to participate as volunteers and to donate money, absolutely the first donations came out from teachers, retired teachers, current teachers. They were bringing in checks from themselves left and right. And I talked to them a little bit about it. I said, well, I wasn't expecting the teachers. I thought maybe business people, bankers, insurance, that kind of would be coming forward with funds, but they said, we understand it more than anybody does. And they would tell me some of the stories, again, where students, they would be in the classroom and a student would be tearful, tears running down their eyes, holding their stomach. And they said, we knew what was wrong. We knew what was happening. So they had a program, they had a procedure literally where they would get the students say, hey, I need to show you something in the principal's office, and then they would take them in and feed them during the day, anytime during that school day. I didn't know these things happen. I didn't know teachers recognized that. So what an eye opener for us as well. So the teachers came forward, and God bless them. They came through with funds before most anybody else did. And once they saw the momentum, then everybody started coming forward. So it was a wonderful eye opener. So this program went really well, and it was a win-win because all of us as volunteers, felt so good about what was happening and the ability to feed kids. But then it evolved into other projects after that. And one was the Farmers to Families program, where we actually brought in $234,000 worth of food through food trucks and fed families during this time, again, exacerbated by the oil and gas downturn. So the community as a whole needed the help. So $234,000 worth of food there that we handed out after Picnic in the Park, leading into the next 6 weeks. Then we worked with the Food and Resource Center in Weatherford and celebrated their third birthday here in Weatherford, and raised another $25,000 for them and what they were doing during this time. Then it moved into, it just escalated. I mean, good things bring on good things, thank goodness. And so then it escalated into a fundraiser for our elementary school, Bertram Elementary, where they typically do a school carnival each year with the baskets that they auction and games for the kids. And they couldn't do it. You know, it was too much shoulder to shoulder. It was social distancing was a problem. So we said, we're on it. So we put together a virtual carnival for Bertram Elementary, where we did a full page ad with pictures of all the teachers and a list of the number of students, not the student's name, but how many students were in the class. So we're looking for $50 per student. Let's get each teacher's class sponsored. And once again, people came forward. You know, the pandemic, I was a little concerned about it because I thought that people would tighten up financially, but it seems that it was just the opposite. Essential needs for the community, people have jumped forward and helped with every aspect. So it was an incredible experience, and I was just honored to be a part of it.
Well, Phillip, thank you so much for telling us about it. I love a lot of the things that you shared with this, and the biggest one even just being that, you know, visibility helps school foundations advance the cause of students. And you know, just the partnership that you were able to bring to the table with the Weatherford Daily News as well, you know, just helping raise awareness. A lot of our school foundations struggle sometimes to get the word out to their community because community members want to help, but they have to know what the needs are. And so kudos to the Weatherford Public Schools Foundation and to the Weatherford Daily News for this program. It warmed my heart. Hunger needs for kids is something that's very near and dear to my heart. So I loved reading about your program and loved seeing what a huge success it was. So thank you so much for sharing with us. I'm going to go ahead and switch us over now. I pre-recorded a little quick conversation with Mary Malone from the Oklahoma Foundation for Oklahoma City Public Schools. She had a prior commitment today and wasn't able to join us live. So I'm going to share a quick video. So you may have to adjust your sound just a little bit to make sure that you can hear this properly. We have about a 12-minute conversation, and then we'll come back together and do question and answer time with our live guests. I'm excited to have Mary Malone, the CEO and president of the Foundation for Oklahoma City Public Schools, with us today to talk a little bit about their 2020 Outstanding Program Award winner. It is the Bilingual and Diversity Teacher Pipline Program. And Mary, I would love it if you would just give
Katie.
Blair, are you having trouble hearing the video?
I think when you muted yourself for some reason it went off
muted
for
the
everybody.
video. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, everyone. Thank you for telling me, Blair. I was trying to keep it so you couldn't hear my dog barking in the backyard. I'm going to take us back just a little bit and push play again. I'm sorry if some of this is a repeat.
The country that we have to worry about teacher shortages, but even more specifically in so many of our school districts, we have to worry about finding diverse teacher workforces. So in Oklahoma City Public Schools, 54% of our student population is Hispanic. So there are a large number of kids that are English language learners. So we initially started this program with the Bilingual Teacher Pipeline Program as a way to backfill and develop bilingual teachers for our classrooms. And we added the diversity pipeline later. But the core of this program is that we raise money and pay 100% of college tuition, fees, and books for our participants. Our participants are coming right from the pool that is already working within Oklahoma City Public Schools as paraprofessionals. These paraprofessionals or teaching assistants are working in our school district, making really low wages, but they are so committed to our students. They are helping them. They're helping them certainly with the language barriers that so many of our kids have. They're also assisting teachers in really profound ways. So we went to our paraprofessionals in the school district and said to them, would you like to be teachers? And if you would like to be a teacher, what are the barriers that get you there? And overwhelmingly, this group of about 400 paraprofessionals that work in our district said, yes, we want to be teachers, but we can't. There's no way we can go to college. We can't pay for it. We've got families to take care of. We've got to work full time with benefits. So we developed these programs as a way for them to attend college part-time while remaining employed in Oklahoma City Public Schools full-time with benefits. These are non-traditional students. The vast majority are women. We do have some men though, and it's great to see that. But vast majority are women. They've got children. Many of them have children working in our school district already. The real beauty of this is that we are growing our own. We are not only giving our kids wonderful new teachers that look like them, who can speak their language, who can be that bridge between the teacher and the family and the children, but we're allowing these individuals to have better for their own lives, to become professional teachers, which is their dream. And their dream is coming true.
Mary, I love this program. I think it's so exciting for all the reasons that you just mentioned, but that idea of scaffolding success among staff that are already in your district, modeling for kids, they're seeing their paraprofessionals go to school and come out as certified teachers.
Absolutely.
That's so exciting. And the other thing I loved about your program is that, although with the foundation, you all are a big enough entity that you're doing this on a pretty good scale, which I'll have you talk about in a minute. But I really see this being applicable even in smaller school districts with smaller foundations. A lot of those foundations do student scholarships. There's no reason that they couldn't develop a program where they have a teacher scholarship, even if it was only one or two, people a year that they were scaffolding through this.
Absolutely. And the average cost per student, per participant is $10,000 to $15,000 a year. So absolutely, this could be emulated even if you're just supporting one individual participant at a time. It's changing many lives for future years to come as well. So yes, I've often thought that it could be modeled and emulated. I'm actually just joining an advisory group that Joy Hoffmeister, the state superintendent of schools, is putting together to really focus on ways to develop a diverse teacher workforce. And I'm certain she asked me to be part of it because she's familiar with this program. I think it could be statewide, no doubt.
It's huge. Well, I would love for you to tell us just a little bit about the nuts and bolts of the program and kind of where you all stand with it right now.
Well, we started the program with 6 participants, and we now have 57 active participants with an additional 9 starting in the spring of 2021. So we do active recruiting, and we've got information meetings. We've been doing those by Zoom this year, but we pulled together paraprofessionals just to talk about what this means, and the application process and everything that goes into it. We partner with 4 local education partners. We partner with 3 community colleges, OSU OKC, Rose State College, and OCCC. And that's where our participants will start, especially if they don't have much college or any college. We'll start them getting their gen ed criteria out of the way, and then they end up going to UCO to finish out the teacher education program. We have had 2 graduates so far, and we've got another 2 graduating in December of this year. At least 1 more will be graduating in the spring. So it really is a pipeline. That's what it's named, a pipeline. We load people in. Everyone really starts at a different place. Some of our participants start with already having an associate's degree. A lot of them start with maybe just a couple of college classes. So everyone's at a different place, but the pipeline is flowing, and really great to see that these graduates now have their own classrooms. And a huge success story that is really recent. One of our first graduates just bought her own house.
Oh my God.
Very first house in her life. She was able to buy because she was working at a paraprofessional wage. She's been given a wonderful increase in her salary, which has allowed her to have her own house. And so I'm incredibly proud of her. The impact is, the way I see it is, this really is a journey. We've got to take a long view with this program because everyone is starting at such a different place. It's not something that I can say, yes, we have put 100 new teachers into the classroom in 2 years. It isn't that. It's going to take time. I can tell you that Oklahoma City Public Schools is so 100% behind this program because it has all the ingredients for growing our own and helping them with teacher shortage in just the right ways. So, but it's not one of those things. I'm an immediate gratification person. I got to say, I love to measure impact, and it's going to take a while. But
not only that, Mary, but one of the things that I love about this, I'm thinking it through, is, you know, even from your first college class as one of these paraprofessionals that's learning on, you know, and working to become a certified teacher, we all know as you go through school, you're learning every class every day. And so those skills are coming right back into their work, even as a paraprofessional, before they ever get that teaching certificate. They're becoming better and better paraprofessionals with every class they attend.
That is absolutely true. And I'm so glad you brought up that point, because I hear that from principals, that principals who are saying, yes, this participant has taken 2 or 3 classes, but they're already putting those skills to use and providing more value to our kids. So absolutely, that is true. A little more difficult to measure, but it is absolutely happening. I wanted to touch on our high school pathway also, because this is something we're putting a lot of energy into, connecting with, through our principals and counselors at the high school level, connecting with high school students to share with them, do you want to be a teacher? Do you even think you may want to be a teacher? Here's a pathway for you.
Yeah.
Graduate from high school, apply to be a paraprofessional, work as a paraprofessional for a year, and then apply to this program. And there's your path to becoming a certified teacher, which is really an incredible opportunity for our high school students. That gives them a path to follow.
Yeah. Oh, that's terrific.
And the final point I'll make, program challenges and lessons learned. Oh my gosh, we learn lessons every day with this program. I think that we knew it wasn't going to be easy. Just putting together all the partners took a lot of time. And we knew it wasn't going to be easy because these are non-traditional students. I don't think any of us could have understood how difficult it would be. We're really serving, in a sense, as case managers also. So for anyone to emulate this program, I think that's a piece that you've got to take really seriously, and to make sure you have the right people and the supports. Our education partners have been wonderful. But oftentimes our participants call us first when they're struggling. And they, you know, we've had everything from, you know, high risk pregnancies come up that cause problems for our participants, just life things that happen, cars breaking down, not having a computer that works right. I mean, just so many things, in addition to some of our participants haven't been in school in many, many, many years. And many of them come with English is not their first language. So they're just real things that we work through. What the benefits of it, though, the benefits when you see people succeed, and even when they struggle, but then get back right on the path of succeeding, it's really the most rewarding program I've ever been a part of. It is also the hardest, but absolutely the most rewarding. And our participants are wonderful. They all have amazing stories of their own personal journeys and struggles, and they're amazing, committed, dedicated employees of Oklahoma City Public Schools, and they love our kids, and they're all going to be amazing teachers. But it is not without challenges. And that statement, I am, I can, I will, I do, is what we have on the front of t-shirts that we give to all of our participants. And it's something that we say in all of our meetings for them to remember they're not alone, and to keep that belief in themselves that if they just have to keep fighting for this, because in the end, when they succeed, and they will succeed, it's going to be wonderful for them and for our kids.
I love it, Mary. Thank you so much for sharing about this program. I think that there's a lot of potential here. Like I said, not just for Oklahoma City Public Schools, but for, looking into spreading this program statewide. And so I appreciate you taking time to share with us today.
Thank you. I wish I could be with all of you. See you soon.
All right. Sorry about my technical difficulties, everyone. And Phillip had to duck out. He's covering a breaking news story in Weatherford. But we still have 3 of you guys that have hung in on the call. I'm going to go ahead and make our attendees panelists. So if you guys have questions for Blair, or if you just want to say hi, you can do that. So I'm bringing you guys up here as panelists, and then we can chat for a second if you guys want to, or if you have questions. All right, you're coming back. Hi, Allison. Hey, Jay Seal. Hi, Miss Loida. How are you? So anyone want to jump in? Anyone have a question or a thought you want to share? It's also okay to be shy.
Did Mary say that program costs $10,000 a year per person?
I think that was correct. Yes.
Just making sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Lot of business money. I think helping with that one.
I mean, it's a great program, and I would love. I mean, we need it in Putnam City, but I can't afford that.
I know, one of the things that Mary and I talked about after we got off the call, and I don't think she'll mind me sharing with you, is that there may be a real opportunity here, Jennifer, to partner with a like a Metro Tech or the community college, because they also have foundations whose sole job it is to sort of help make sure that their students can go to school and be successful. And they may be willing, to explore somehow working with you to meet some of those needs. As Mary was sharing, they've had issues like, a participant maybe whose laptop breaks or things like that. Mm-hmm. From working with the foundations that support like the technology centers through this program, they oftentimes, that's what their foundations primarily do, is help support students. And so I mentioned to Mary, maybe you should try to connect your participants who have those kind of issues with the foundation for the actual school where they're attending, because there may be some resources there that could be brought to bear to help out too. So I don't know if that would be something that would be a possibility or not, Jennifer, but it would be interesting to talk about. And maybe that's something even that we could ask like Ashley Gibson from Metro Tech, who's active in our group, if she could see any crossover possibilities there.
Yeah. I mean, it's just great. And I know we'd have people who would want to do it. I also like the high school thing. I've been thinking about how to make that happen. We just don't have a lot of direct access to kids we do to counselors, but that's kind of where I've gotten stuck on trying to like start future teacher club or something like that in our schools, because those exist, but we don't have them.
Right. Right. Just always interesting things to think about, when you hear about other foundations programs. Blair, your mentoring program got me thinking in a million different directions about how many different iterations of that. It could be an art club. It could be it could be so many different things, but to the benefit of students, bringing students and teachers together, bringing that mentoring to play, helping make it something that's special to bring students who, might be having challenges, the support they need. I loved your encouragement to think creatively, because I think there really are so many different ways that you could,
One, I know we always hesitate asking things of teachers, and I was hesitant to ask. And even during COVID, I was kind of dismissive of, we're definitely not going to have it this year because we can't put another thing on our teachers after school. But you wouldn't believe how many teachers are disappointed because we're not doing it and wanted that outlet, And so you think you're burdening them, but this was something that they all really jumped on doing and got a lot of value themselves from,
Yeah. I thought it was cool too, that really with your superintendent, it was top down, and with him encouraging your teachers to get running and get going. And then also having these student groups. Wow, just a cool shared experience for students and teachers together too. So it was fun to hear about.
And Blair, I wonder if since you're getting kids together from all of the different schools before they get to middle school, I'll be interested to see how that smooths out that transition for them when they maybe already know kiddos from other schools, and how that affects the culture in the middle school.
Well, that's
great.
something that we need to capture. It's just, how it is with metrics. It's tricky to figure out how to capture that exactly, but we definitely have a very low income, like 99% free and reduced lunch school. And they merge with a very, higher income school and middle school. And that was one of the reasons that prompted the program, was that we had a lot of issues in the hallways and things with this school versus this school. And it was just, ugly. And so we're hoping even that small population of kids, 20 per site, that know each other already and have been through something together already, can really kind of change that culture a bit. Speaking of metrics, I appreciated Mary mentioning, the frustration with not having these quick, very just quickly to grow kind of metrics with her teacher program. Because sometimes it is, especially for us with grants, it is about just that one story of that one teacher who can buy her house, or, that one kid that you made this huge impact on. We had one kid in Bruins on the Run who, he could not even walk the mile the first time, and he finished that 5-mile really hilly course. And it was just, we had kids who cried in their mom's arms, after they crossed the finish line, just because they were so proud of themselves. And it's those small stories, you have to figure out a way to tell those, because, Mary's program, it's amazing, but it's like, you don't have this like infographic that you can say 500 teachers impacted and, X amount of dollars and whatever. It's tricky for us, I think, as foundations, to figure out unique ways to communicate those stories quickly and effectively when they're not in numbers.
And I think just, also encouraging that sort of patience that you sometimes need, because, it takes a little while sometimes for a program that's very worthwhile to build up and spread in the way that you want it to and that you hope it will. And so that's one of those things, on a national level, that I've heard talked about a lot at NSFA, that school foundations can fill the role of starting a risky program for your district, right? Something that maybe the district would have to immediately be able to show, this was super impactful and it happened this way, and just as we wanted. It lets our districts innovate when our foundations can sort of try things out and take some of those risks and help with the funding part of that. Because so much of our district funding, as we all know, is super tied up and super specified in certain areas. And so it's awesome too to see foundations helping their districts innovate and try things that maybe they wouldn't be able to do with their current funding. Well, I want to thank you guys so much for joining us today. Blair, congratulations to your foundation. I was so excited that you all were chosen as one of our winners. I want to say a special thanks to Phillip. He had to run, and to Mary also for coming and sharing with us today. So look forward to seeing you all soon. Thanks for being here. And look for more information coming from me soon to sort of ask you all some ideas about what you'd like to see for continuing forums, if we want this to be a monthly thing or a bi-monthly thing, and what sorts of topics we'd like to explore in the webinar format. So thank you guys so much for being here today and for your support of our School Foundations Network. Take care.